Terran versus Terran is never boring in Cosmonarchy. In the last game, we saw Shopkeeper Dog fall to the Shambler after a very heated bio opener from both sides. Let's see if that continues to be the way things work on Old Scars, a map by Jujic. So we have the Shambler, still in his Get in This Lobby Bozo name, in the bottom left as the White Terran, and we've got Shopkeeper Dog in the top right, and I'm gonna guess this is the Zinwaldite Brown. And look at that, it was. It's hard to tell the difference between that and I think it's Cordovan, but the Cordovan's a little bit more on the magenta side, the purple side or whatever. Anyway, that is just it for the colors. Again, we have over 100 player colors. You should enjoy player colors in Cosmonarchy. They are very cool, very epic. And with Shopkeeper Dog losing that first game, I'm guessing he's going to go ahead and stick to the plan because he does seem to follow the meta quite a bit. I know that sometimes he will try to experiment, but I feel like, and maybe he won't mind me saying this because I don't think this is like an insult or anything, but I do think that like when you think about experiments within the meta, there's such a thing as trying to experiment in a whole new way to completely upset the meta, and then there's a way to experiment where you try to optimize or sort of explore part of the sandbox that the meta creates for you, and that would be more like what Shopkeeper Dog does, where I'm thinking of his all-ins that he's come up with like the proxy Fulcrum into proxy Palladium for the tank, and he did that versus Protoss, and then he would do proxy Stockade into Vestry for the clerics and stuff, like that kind of stuff that he did to Smarty Cakes on Cold Sweat back in the Tyrant's Tail qualifier, like maybe last month or 2 months ago. Like that stuff is pretty cool, I think. And that's the kind of stuff that I think Dog is more likely to do as a player himself. I'm not sure about Shambler by the same token. It does feel like he can get set in stone this mentality of like, yeah, this meta always works, like it's always like this, and he can arrive at a conclusion that might not be all of the way there in terms of how the meta progresses, and so like, you know, he almost has to be beaten by something to accept that it's legit, and even then it's not just that he has to be beaten by it once, right? And I know a lot of players who are like that, and it makes sense to be somewhat skeptical when you're finding a high level of success within the project, within a game, and then you're like, oh yeah, now I've got to deal with this person telling me that, like, oh yeah, you got to go Larvosk first, like what Krankendow showed us for Zerg a little while ago back in the Acropolis 1 days towards the end of it. Just showing that it was way different, way better. Dog, once again, having his star pad scouted. Could have maybe expended a stim pack there. I'm not sure if people know this, but you can repair biological units in Cosmonarchy. You know, they're like sealing the holes in the Maverick suit or whatever. And so when you take a stim, you can repair that. So that's just a little note there. So if you ever are feeling like, oh, I don't want to stim because it's going to inflict damage on my Maverick, well, no, you can just repair it. So not the end of the world. Dog might be able to use that to his advantage later on if he's not aware of it already. His scout obviously coming later means that he doesn't know whether or not there's a similar follow-up from the Shambler. So Shambler's early scout, which he did do in the previous part, you can always check out the previous game that we cast in a set of games. It's always linked in the previous, in this video's description, right? And so yeah, there's definitely something there where Shambler tries to scout as he puts down his stockade. It does mean that his second structure is a little bit slower as a result of not having the worker there for that moment. But it does mean that he's equipped with the knowledge to know that the star pad is coming from Dog. And in this case, actually, Dog just decides to he finishes the star pad, and then he goes into a ministry. He'll use the star pad later. I mean, he does have a Wraith, but that's just going to end up being for scouting. He will see that there is going to be a drop fomenting. I mean, you see these Mavericks here. Sure, they could be trying to catch the presence of an air unit, but Shopkeeper Dog is going to go ahead and confirm that, oh, you've got Mavericks, you've got a star pad, you might be dropping me. So we'll see what he ends up doing. He scouts no expansion coming whatsoever, and while his ministry is 75% complete, Shopkeeper Dog should be in a pretty good spot to just absorb this pressure and, you know, keep a decent number of his Mavericks in a good spot. I'd love to have the Wraith actually still in the right area, like watching to see if the Trojan comes from this angle. We see that it's leaving the building with actually 2 Cyprians that came out of these stockades at the sort of last second. Those were not scouted by Dog. So that's very interesting. We're going to see how this one ends up faring. A Covenant on the way with 2 more stockades. We don't actually have anything protecting the bottom side. We've got the Mason spotting on the left-hand side, but nothing is covering this very bottom-most flank. We'll see if that ends up changing. I saw the Mavericks moving. I was going to get excited for Dog because I was going to say, oh, maybe he's going to go ahead and move them over. I guess technically he's got pretty good vision of this area. Like, even if it this is like where it's going to happen. So what's the reaction time from Dog? What does he do as this dot flies off the right-hand side of the screen? He's still not responding. He's still not reacting. There we go. He's going to go ahead and pull them. He does pull the Masons away. Hasn't lost a single one. Just denied mining time so far from Shopkeeper Dog. And obviously, Dog will have more income pretty soon. He stims on top of the units. He is going to force the unload. He will force the issue. Now, the Trojan getting out is actually pretty good, but the rest of the units do end up dying. And now the workers can resume mining. That was a very long-winded opportunity there. Look at this. The Wraith is actually going to spot a secondary drop as it tries to go hunt down this other Trojan. So it is going to go ahead and force that out. And look at that. He sees the second drop was indeed in the cards there. So good play from Dog trying to catch on to that. In some ways, it's a good thing he didn't focus down the Trojan because he found the second drop and just short-circuited Shambler's plans. His ministry is not nearly as fast. In fact, his won't even be halfway complete when Dog lands his. That's pretty crazy. So no expansion for Shambler for some time. Eidolon now coming out here for Shopkeeper Dog. We do have the double stockade and 2 more on the way, so double covenant. We are going to see 2 Eidolon production for a little bit here, although Shambler does need that extra Vespene, obviously. He spent a lot of Vespene on the star pad plus the Trojans. He's going to go ahead and try again with that secondary one, putting a watchdog at the extremity just to watch for drops of his own. And so far, I would say these players have played out that kind of scenario fairly well. Shambler obviously tried to make sure to save the drop and unload the units at the last second to see if he could get any more kills. He did deny mining time a lot, but Shopkeeper Dog responded by pulling the workers very fast. And even though he did lose out on mining time, his build order allows him to take some economic damage and then still be ahead, actually, after the fact. And then obviously, Shambler trying to come in from the other angle. You know, maybe you could argue that he could have unloaded his units in the same way, the other way, right? He's going to get a little bit of worker damage here as well, which is not bad. I don't know about trying to scoop them up there. I do feel like stutter stepping maybe with the Eidolons might have helped out in the middle of that, but he does narrowly manage to get out there. I was a little bit surprised. The other thing you saw there is Shopkeeper Dog thought he was just going to fly over the expansion instead of unloading in the natural. So I thought that was kind of interesting because then Dog is like, oh shit, he's going to attack me. You know, in my main, I got to fly over there with my Mavericks. I got to run up. And so he started leaving the area towards the ramp. And so that little small micro move there cost him a little bit of time. And as a result, maybe a couple of extra workers that he wouldn't have lost otherwise. Watchdog in the very similar position. It's almost exactly mirrored positions. Like a map maker made that or something. They just X-Y'd the mirror and then they were done. Wraith is out for Shambler. He did spend a little bit more Vespene on that as well. And look at this. Third ministry now complete. We'll see how long it takes to lift off and land. I'm assuming it's going to be over here. Mavericks were unloaded from the Trojan, which is now returning with just a Cyprian in tow. We'll see what he ends up doing. I like that. I like holding this position, though. Like, Shambler definitely doing a good job with his units to know, like, oh, is my opponent trying to expand in that direction? Because when you, on old Scars, when you expand to this area, it really opens up your surface area a lot. I feel the same way about the third base, actually, because it opens up this attack path, and obviously these 2 attack paths. But something about, like, going all the way to the bottom right on a game where drops are in play does feel like it's a really big problem, actually. The Trojan looks like it's gearing up to be sacrificed for a scout, maybe a little bit of a mind game, try to pull the army back if it hasn't already moved out. But we'll see if that ends up being the case. It might actually just be here to spot, to see if there's any other units to, you know, leaving the area, like a counter drop or something, since Dog has been doing that, did do that in the previous game. A secondary Watchdog, not a bad shout to, like, catch any Trojans that are trying to dive bomb that first one. I like the thinking behind that, at least that's what I assume it is. But yeah, the worker count definitely favoring... Oh, the Trojan ended up getting bopped by the Watchdog. The worker count right now is favoring Dog by a considerable margin. And now with that Trojan out of the way, we are going to see some Hurricanes get dropped into the enemy into the enemy base. So there is a Wraith in the middle of the map that might actually catch this bad boy. We can use... Oh my god. It's like he's trying to get caught by that Wraith somehow. That's crazy. And yeah, so that is going to get got. We'll see if... yeah, okay, there you go. Shambler does end up seeing... I always click away my screen so that I can see their screens on the minimap. And yeah, Shambler did indeed see that. I guess it's more relevant to this particular engagement because you're... Oh my god. There you go. Take care of those bad boys. Second Trojan was made, but not actually filled with anything. But yeah, I try to make sure that that you guys can see the cameras on the minimap or whatever. It's a little bit more relevant with Shambler since his camera is white and my camera is also white. It's a different tone of white. You'll notice mine's brighter, but still. It's a bit silly, I guess, but that's something I try to do. Still only 2 Covenants for Shopkeeper Dog, who is adding even more stockades. Neither player looking towards Tier 2 at the moment. 4th Ministry on the way for Shopkeeper Dog, while the 3rd one is on the way for the Shambler. And with the 3rd base now operational, It looks like, yeah, basically Shopkeeper Dog is doing to Shambler what Shambler did to Dog in the previous match. So this is looking very good for him. He does have forces already on the map, and Shambler is not in a position to actually take this fight just yet. I do think Shambler has more units, but let's see if these Hurricans can actually descend upon these units. I don't know if those Mavericks ended up getting stimmed or not. Didn't quite catch if they had. And yeah, a lot of these units are going to end up getting got. So Dog is in a little bit of trouble, right? Dog is definitely squeaky bum time right now, trying to see what he can do to hold on for dear life. Battle workers are going to be deployed. Remember, he's in an excess of 10 workers ahead at the start of this fight, and it looks like they're all going to be spent. That entire worker lead spent specifically on trying to counter this push. And yeah, we can see here a little bit of lazy on that A move with the Eidolons. That might have actually cost him, honestly. Like, if he kept those Eidolons alive, he would have done a lot better, I feel like. This one Wraith could heckle the Mason making that that ministry. Looks like he might actually try to. No, I don't know. He's just letting it happen. Why not? I mean, there are units in place to counter that, but it would have been cheeky. Delay the third base. He's going to go ahead and try to land it as he's retaking the area. Still a little bit rough. I feel like the Eidolon count is a little bit too high for Shambler, for Dog to be able to take this fight. But let's see if he can prove me wrong, because his Hurricans actually survived a lot longer than I thought they would. Oh no, the stutter step there. Again, like the lack of control here and there definitely hurting Dog a few places. He kills the last Hurricans. There's still 12 Eidolons. And he really wants to save this ministry from being destroyed. Here comes the Hurricans to try to help with that, but another Eidolon going down for Dog. It feels like it's way too much for him to be able to do too much, and now his Wraith is going to get got. Scouting another stockade being made. Although you can't tell that if you only see it in the minimap. You got to click on it to see. That's something I think we should probably do at some point, is give unique construction graphics earlier for the Terran structures. Obviously, it's a pretty big move there. Look at this, the one Wraith heckling the Trojan. Random Hurricans. The Eidolons have retreated. Okay, third base is up. Fourth base is now on the way for Shambler as well. He's about to land it at, roughly speaking, I guess you could say that's a 10 o'clock position. Wraith speed Eidolons in a one-on-one fight. I don't know if you knew that. Oh, he doesn't know where it is. He doesn't even know that it has health. Ah, there it is. Yeah, 7 Hurricans a pop right now for Dog. He does have a lot of gas, but I think he's saving for tier 2. Because he's not actually spending too many... I mean, he doesn't have that many add-ons, right? So he can't actually make the same level of Eidolons. I think that might be a big difference, is that there's a third Covenant here. And the Atlas coming up online here for the Shambler faster than his opponent. We've got Ahmed on Ahmed violence in the middle of the map, supported by the Eidolons. But remember, there's so many more Eidolons over time, because the Shambler did have that extra add-on. And now, Dog really needs to concern himself with this position. He's going to go ahead and try to pull his units to the north, see if he can maybe draw the Shambler away. And Shambler does see red. He does sometimes over-chase units instead of maybe going for the more high-value targets. Maybe that's what Dog is trying to play up on as he gets his next round of Hurricans in. But he desperately needs some kind of switch out of this situation. This is not a winning recipe for him right now. You know, if he had Phalanxes, if he had an Anseal, that would be a little bit different, right? But right now it's just pure Hurrican and less Eidolons versus about the same Hurrican and way more Eidolons. You're talking about 20 Eidolons right now. His workers are getting gutted at the third base. This is probably about to be GG before tier 2 even factors in. Oh, he's going to go ahead and lift it off. He doesn't want to give it up yet. I don't think he knows the third base is actually operational. I think maybe if he knew that, and you know, he saw the other ministry, I think he saw that ministry and thought, oh, he's taking his third now. But that's not what was actually going on. So tier 2 is now complete for the Shambler. Is he making a second Atlas somewhere? He forgot he made an Atlas, so he's making a second one. Well, you know, leave it to Shambler to, you know, make some other silly oopsie in the middle of stuff. Is he gonna actually make tier 2 before then? Does he know? If he finishes that and doesn't cancel that, that's gonna be really silly. Because I feel like he's like, my Atlas isn't done yet. I need to wait. I need to, you know, build out I need to build tier 2 later on, once my Atlas is done. And he doesn't realize he already made one. That's hilarious. That's probably the first time I think I've seen somebody make 2 tech nodes, like without, like, of that level of expense, without remembering that he already did it. I guess it's been a hectic game, but that's going to be it for Dog's army. He might just not be able to hold this push from the Shambler. He goes into the anchor, going to try to mass repair it. I just feel like it's too much. Yeah, too much. Falling back. His ministry landing over there with burning, still on fire. Yeah, he's going to call GG right there. Nobody even saw that the Atlas, this second Atlas, it was less than a second away from finishing. I can't believe Shambler did it. I can't believe he got 2 Atlases. Unbelievable. No chance he cancels it there. Absolute silly. But he is up another game in his favor there. I wonder, I know Top Robin has some opinions about the bio stuff and like how he has some thoughts about how you can get out of the Eidolon Hurakan war. And I do think that Anseal is getting buffed. And again, the Anseal buff might have come after these games. I can't quite remember. But the Anseal buff that gives them 1 extra vision range, I think would have been huge for this kind of thing. Because then they actually do see the Eidolons without being subject to the Eidolons sniping them. It's only by 1 vision range, so it's not like a huge amount, but still you can kind of play around that and micro around that a little bit, and I do think that that is actually better. So anyway, that is my spiel about the Anseal. Once again, pitching it for Shopkeeper Dog to try it, since he refuses to. And hopefully that helps him in TVT in the future. But we've got one more game going up here, so let's see what that game is like. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to Genesis Y. I'm at by BiddyB for our final game in this set. We've got the Shambler, Bozo in it up here in the top right. Looks like this is... I feel like this is just classic red Terran. It is. And Shopkeeper Dog in the bottom right. This could be bronze, brass, or light olive. I'm going to go with light olive. Oh, I'm so good. I've gotten 100% color guess on all of these colors in all 3 games of this series. So I think I deserve your donations. You can go to coffee.com/pronogo and Week7. It's linked in the description. It's in the bottom right of your screen. And you can donate towards project development. So I do appreciate that if you do. You can also donate towards the prize pool. I do appreciate that as well. The prize pool for our upcoming tournament is about $1,500 right now because of the fact that I am prize pooling the gauntlets. I am taking that out of my own cash right now, some of that. So basically offset the costs. So future donations will simply basically be matching mine in a way. But anyway, we do actually have Shopkeeper Dog going for a little bit of a different look here. He's going to go for Fulcrums. And Stockade opener here for the Shambler. He obviously scouts immediately afterwards. When you go Fulcrum versus TVT, I'm not actually sure what your mech units do versus stuff like the Eidolons. I do see how they might not be able to get too much done. And I feel like maybe Fulcrum into Anseal is equally gas expensive as Eidolon spam, maybe a little bit less actually. Look at that, the pocket star pad coming out from the Shambler. I don't know what happened with his workers there. It looked like he had to task a bunch of them on, but it might have just been a circumstance, coincidence. Fulcrum now finished. Is he going to go for a Vulture? Yeah. So typically early Fulcrums go for like the Vulture and go straight into a secondary Fulcrum, or goes into an expansion. That's usually how Dog likes to navigate this. He has 75 gas. That feels like a very deliberate amount of gas. But again, could just be circumstance. He can drop another Fulcrum if he wants to. It's not enough for a Palladium. He's sniffing around for that Mason, but he doesn't realize that it's trailing his, apparently. He's going to go ahead and drop the mine. Second Vulture. Yeah, okay, this is going to be an expansion. And we do have a Wraith coming. Is he going to get in as scouted? I don't think so, right? He's got 4 Mavericks that can pre-stim. I don't think he can actually scout the Wraith. So this could end up being like a little bit of a cheese strat there. Let's see what he ends up doing. Plant the mine. Yep. Okay. I guess if you're worried about drops in this situation, you can send a Vulture here. And then you can just kind of like patrol back and forth and hope you catch like a Wraith or, a Trojan or whatever. Second Fulcrum coming. Third Vulture coming. In the early game, Mavericks do lose to Vultures, right? So there is that as well. Second Star Pad. Okay, this is going to be a heavy Wraith play from the Shambler. Not usually what we see out of him. So he might be just practicing that style. I know he's done it before. I'm not saying he's never done it before, but I'm pretty sure that this is not his typical forte, right? He's not known as a Wraith player. Like Newt, when he was still with us, shout out Newt. He was a Wraith player. Mystery Meat obviously started the whole Wraith nonsense, if you want to call it that. And Neblime also participated in it heavily as well. So, or maybe I got that backwards. I feel like Mystery Meat started it, and then Neblime really, really tried to capitalize on it, because there was a tournament where Neblime was playing Terran, but Mystery Meat was playing Protoss. And the Wraiths definitely helped Neblime out there. So it looks like the vultures are going to kind of hang off to the side here. Another vulture is actually coming up over in this direction and laying the mines there for vision, right? And then he's probably just going to... I would park the vulture a little bit further over here because then you probably have like good anti-cloak situation here. Third star pad, ant seal on the way. Oh man, if he kills them with ant seals, maybe Shopkeeper Dog will actually make them. As of right now, there's no watchdogs. I think if he scouts it early enough, the air units will be revealed, and then he'll be like, okay, I can put down a watchdog or two before the wraiths actually get to my base, right? Like, that is a thing that can happen, depending on which angle they're going. If they're just going straight up and down, that's a little bit different. So, good map control, though, right now for Shopkeeper Dog. I don't think he realizes he could just come in here and start wreaking havoc on the units. He could at least try to confirm if there's an expansion up or not, because he's got his already up. And so that would definitely help him out a little bit. You can't know because, there's no sign of like, did he have a ministry being made in his main or something? Like, there's nothing like that to show you. But he's got a good number of vultures right now. Is that 6 vultures? You got more coming in. Yeah, now he's going to shark in and see, okay, no expansion. That tells me something weird's going on. Because you'd at least like it to be up and running by now. He's banked a lot of S-Beam. It looks like he's just trying to, like, triple Fulcrum in this case, go straight into that situation, and then see what he can do on the other front. So, okay, the ant seals will indeed be here. And he'll even get the under attack notification. So yeah, he's going to come on back with the vultures, but it's not really going to do too much. Let's see what he ends up making. 1 Goliath, 1 Watchdog. Kind of low on the mineral count, right? He really invested heavily into the gas, doing a little bit of a greedy play. The rates are going to be here as the Goliath is about halfway done. I think this Watchdog should be able to finish, but we'll see what the targeting is like for the Shambler. Now, immediately going after that one in the front. Not being retasked is a really big problem. He does need to retask it there, and then try to mass repair it if possible. It's not even going to finish. The other one might, though. No, he's not actually finishing it up. Yeah, there you go. Goliath now finished. Does need to see what he can do there. Good DPS out of that secondary Watchdog. Needs to fall on back from the Goliath. Is there any other units in production? No, he does not have any units in production. He has another Watchdog coming online down here. He should definitely pull the workers and maybe see what he can do elsewhere. Trying to mass up the Goliath count that he needs. He's still keeping his vultures in the front. I would love a vulture a counterattack at the same time. Really split the focus of the Wraith player in this situation. Losing another Wraith. Reinforcements coming. Second ant seal as well is pretty huge for protecting, right? Doesn't need to fall on back. Watchdogs are going to be able to help DPS things down. Yeah, the Wraiths are being protected by the ant seal. The Goliath being hunted down. It is going to be taken care of. Ant seals are no longer providing any shielding right now, so Shambler doesn't need to fall back. Ends up losing, I want to say 2-3 Wraiths, yeah, on the way out. So, all in all, definitely still good for the Shambler. But the vultures are going to start to pounce on these bio units as they come out here. And great mine hit onto the first couple of Mavericks. This is a huge moment here for Shopkeeper Dog. He can absolutely just pick all of the bio units here, force the Wraiths to stay out of his base, and then maybe charge in for some critical infrastructure damage. He's going to be able to cancel and kill that ministry outright if he wants to, or he can just go directly after the worker count. We'll see what he ends up wanting to do, because these vultures are going to be killed, right? There's no hope for them to do anything else. He clears out all the ground units. He might get a couple of workers here and there. No, it doesn't look like he really does. He stalls the ministry. That's the most that he does. But you know what? He has more worker production. He can catch back up. Going for a Palladium, that's undoubtedly going to be for Madrigals, which are very solid anti-air now. He only has 2 Goliaths and a Cyclops. He is getting another Cyclops. He's going to mass them up. He's going to go for the Watchdog, but the Wraiths are coming back in, screaming with a vengeance as they try to come back in here. And the Watchdogs from the natural were not relocated over. So he does need to watch out for that, right? Trying to absorb the splash damage. The Watchdog gets canceled in the middle of it. Well, not canceled, but delayed, shall we say. Trying to take the moving shots. Obviously, the Goliaths are pretty well armored compared to what the Wraiths can provide, but you shouldn't be trying to stand and fight in this situation. Madrigal about halfway done. But, as a detector with the ant seal, you can see that the Madrigal is actually in production. So Shopkeeper Dog is going to call GG there. But when you have a detection of a structure, you can see it. That was a tighter game than I think maybe Dog could have still fought back in that situation. Not 100% sure, but I'm surprised. I definitely thought that that Dog would be able to slap a game off of Shambler. Maybe they did, and Shambler only posted his W's. Sometimes that happens. If the game was like one-sided with a Vulture Rush or something, and Dog won that way, then maybe that kind of thing wouldn't be there. This game was back and forth at least, so there was that. I hope you guys enjoyed TVT though. Seeing the different things that you can do was a bit of the Shambler show, but we will of course be back with more Cosmonarchy in the near future, and I hope to post some Dog dubs very soon as well. We do remember his legendary Dog dub against Gerald Storm, that very back and forth game that was very epic. So I definitely highly recommend you check that out as well. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you. So GG's, we'll be back very soon, and join Cosmonarchy, play it around with it, see what's up, join our community, get the game, support development, all this stuff in the bottom right, basically. And I'll see you guys soon.